start talking about how you got started in this industry and I guess explain to everyone what your job as an agent and a scout and scouting and development?
My background is actually kind of odd. I don't know how I transitioned into this side of things, but I love it. So I'm a scout with Select Model Management. We're a global agency with offices in the US and Europe. So our offices I'm based in Chicago, which is our US headquarters, and we also have offices in LA, Miami, Atlanta, Milan, Paris, Stockholm, and London. So we're quite a large group, but my sort of entry into this business, I actually started, my background's in publishing. So I worked as a magazine editor for a luxury lifestyle publication based in Chicago. And the magazine I work for was actually booking models through the agency I now work for. So I kind of started on the client side of things. Working on photo shoots, booking models for various editorial spreads and things like that. And after some time at the magazine, loved it, have always loved writing, have always loved storytelling and fashion and sort of visual media, but sort of felt like, I feel like I need something different. As we all know, the publishing industry and especially the print magazine industry is a tricky one right now and has been for a long time. So I had actually been an intern in college with the agency that I now work for and kind of reconnected with the director of that agency and said, hey, I'm looking for a change. And lo and behold, they were looking for a scout. So it all worked out. I've now been there for a little over 3 years and have grown with the agency as it has grown. When I started, we just had offices in the US and every year since I've been there, we've sort of had a new round of changes and expansion. So I'm really happy to be where I am.
Can you go over a typical day in the life as an agent?
Day to day, my job is always different, I would say. It's a little bit different than a booking agent because I'm not necessarily interfacing with clients day to day. I like to think that my clients are the new faces. So my job is to scout new faces and then assist them with their development and then also placement. So every day I'm having meetings with my I primarily work with women, my new girls, and their parents, teaching them about movement, runway training, helping them develop their portfolios, setting up test shoots. And then a lot of times my day-to-day is on the street. I really like to street scout. So I'm walking around our offices on Michigan Avenue. So I'm often walking up and down Michigan Avenue, trying to catch some great new faces as they're shopping or, exploring the city with their families. And I also do quite a bit of travel throughout the US and beyond, looking for new faces, going to conventions like CMTC and things like that. We kind of leave no stone left unturned when we're looking for new faces. So all channels, we're always looking for the next great addition to our board.
Even when you're not working, I'm sure you're working too.
I feel like I can't turn off the scouting. Like I'm on Instagram and I'm scouting. I'm on the subway and I'm scouting.
Yes. That's where you find your hidden gems, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of gets into our next question. So what do you look for in a new face?
Yeah, this is something that I think is a little hard to quantify. Obviously there are physical traits that we look for as scouts and as agents. There are things that will certainly help you succeed in this business, like height, your physical build, your look. But I think a lot of people will tell you that you don't really know until you see it. I think the amazing part of our business is that it's so welcoming and embracing of all different kinds of people. And sometimes it's hard to really say exactly what we're looking for, but something that I personally am really drawn to is someone that sort of catches your eye, and has that sort of spark about them. I think we all know someone that, like, when they walk in the room, you have to stop and look at them. I kind of look for that. Some people call it an it factor, but it's really just that spark that it's someone you want to get to know and someone you're inspired by the minute they walk in the room. That's what I look for.
How does a model get work in this industry? So I guess if they're a new face, you just meet them. What's the process there?
So depending on, what kind of background this model has, if they've gone through some training, if they've been a part of a convention like CMTC where they have learned how to walk a runway, they've done some photo movement, we sort of pick up on development. So maybe they need some assistance with their portfolio. Maybe they need to hone in on their walk. Every model is different in terms of, I think, their development path, but the general path is in my market, especially in many markets, is you have to have a portfolio. Sometimes this can be a very lean, mean portfolio where you just have a couple shoots, but ideally, in order to be the most successful, you have to have a collection of work that shows that you are experienced, that shows that you have a range. So depending on which market, that means showing that you have a beautiful smile, that you can move effortlessly in front of the camera, really just gearing the portfolio for the market. And then it's really up to the agency to promote you, and send you on castings and, expose you to as many clients as possible. But in terms of, when you're going to get that first job, I think that's often sort of a little bit of anxiety for new models, because the most important thing to remember is that this is such a competitive industry. I've heard a lot of people compare it to, competitive sports, at the top level, talking about, the NBA or the MLB, oftentimes it takes quite a bit of time for a new face to book their first job. There are the rare instances where a model, immediately right out the gate, the minute, the agency posts their photo on Instagram or sends their picture to a client, they're booked or they go to their first casting. But oftentimes it takes some time. So my advice to new faces is be patient, trust your agents, trust your mother agent, know that they have a plan for you, and that sometimes it just takes a little bit for things to settle into place.
A new face preparing for CMTC, what can they do to prep for photo movement or the runway? Do you have any suggestions or recommendations?
Yeah. I mean, I think every new face going into CMTC should try to put their best foot forward, be the best version of themselves when they walk into that weekend, so that they really feel confident, because that confidence is really gonna, show itself on the outside. And so that comes down to eating healthy, staying fit, whatever, sports you play, activities you do, whether it's yoga, Pilates, running, making sure that you're staying on that regimen. And also just really practicing, I guess, speaking to people, right? I think, a lot of our world now is done via text and Instagram, and Snapchat. But I think what a lot of agents look for at CMTC is that, personal connection that they have with a new face. So at callbacks, if I call you back to, to meet with you and you can't make eye contact and your mom's speaking for you, that's going to kind of, ruin it. Not ruin it for me, but I'm, it's going to hinder you a little bit. So practice having those great interactions. Maybe do like a mock callback with your family. Of course, work on your walk and your photo movement, all of those things. But really be prepared to go into it like it's an interview.
What kind of photos are necessary for a model to be promoted? So a new face to be promoted, what are kind of the basics that they would need in a starter portfolio?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really going to depend on which market you're in. There are some markets that are certainly more high fashion and editorial, and some that are a little bit more commercial, where the model should look a little bit more approachable. But in general, I would say that a great, beautiful headshot is so necessary. And we're not talking about like glamour shots where you're contoured and, you should look like yourself. A lot of times in our industry, we use a term raw beauty, and I think that's really what we look for in this headshot. It's okay if there's some texture on your skin. It's okay if there's a hair out of place. We're really looking to see your raw, natural beauty in that headshot. And then I think too, it's really important to see some personality in your photos. I think this like brooding, mysterious high fashion model is great, but as an agent, I really like to see some candid movement, maybe some quirky posing, something that catches my eye and sets you apart from the other models. So I would say, to summarize, a great, beautiful headshot, and then some photos that really resonate with people and show off your personality.
When it comes to dressing and styling for casting or for CMTC or for callbacks at CMTC, what would you suggest as far as balancing a blank canvas as well as personal style?
Yeah, I think I often see models showing up to castings in what they think we want to see, which is a black tank top and black jeans and black heels, or for the guys, a black t-shirt and fitted black pants and dress shoes. And that's well and fine. I mean, that is, you know, a great blank canvas, so to
Yeah.
speak. But I think to take it one step further would be to incorporate your personal style a little bit. You know, wearing something that's interesting and cool, but not too flashy. So I like to see, of course, always form fitting that shows off your body and your shape. But I like to see you wearing color and layering pieces and having fun with it. Girls should always, for castings like CMTC, be in heels because we're likely going to want to see you walk. But many other castings, this day and age, they really don't need to see you in heels. You can show up in sneakers. So always be prepared. Bring your flat shoes and your sneakers. And the other thing I would advise is to shy away from not wearing too much makeup. Like I mentioned earlier, we don't want to see what you look like with a full face of makeup. We want to see what you look like naturally. So a little bit of concealer, a little bit of lip gloss, a little bit of mascara is fine, but it should look as natural as possible.
What kind of busy schedule look like for working or traveling models, especially in, I guess, like the fashion week, so things that are very, very busy where they're kind of going city to city?
Yeah. So Fashion Week is it's a crazy time, especially for new faces for your first one. So oftentimes, you know, when you arrive in that city, whether it's New York or Paris or Milan, right out the gate, you are going to castings. The first couple of days of any Fashion Week are just jam packed with castings. Many times you're running around all over the city to, you know, 15 to 20 castings in a day, and it can be a little exhausting. So, you know, whether it's going to castings and then going to fittings and then going to shows and then gearing up to go to the next city, it's a grueling process. And I think it's something that a lot of new faces especially don't realize. They're very excited to go to, you know, New York Fashion Week, go to Paris Fashion Week, but it's tough. You have to be really ready to hustle.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's important too to know that you know, going to New York Fashion Week or going to Paris Fashion Week it doesn't guarantee that you're going to walk in a show. Of course, it's the agency's goal for you to walk in as many shows and as many high-level shows as you can in each city that you're, you know, working in. But sometimes it does happen, especially for a new face, that you go to all of your castings and you show up on time and you do your best, and maybe you get put on hold for a couple things, but you don't confirm anything, and that's fine. That can happen, and I think that especially in this day and age with how competitive our business is, it's often the case where it takes a model a couple seasons to really get their groove. So in the midst of all of that hustle, you really also have to be resilient because, you know, it can sometimes feel like, oh my gosh, I did all that running around for what? But that experience of being there, meeting those casting directors, sort of taking in everything around you is, you can't get that anywhere else. So it's important to be resilient and sort of take everything in stride when you're especially doing fashion weeks.
Kind of rolls into that. So how can a new face book a top client? How does that kind of happen on your end of things?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is tricky because I really think that it's hard to come up with a formula for these things.
Yeah.
Of course, every model I work with wants to work with top clients like Prada or Givenchy or whatever it might be. They want to work with these high level clients. And I think oftentimes it's hard for us to sort of give them a tried and true formula for how to make that happen.
Yeah.
But I think the best advice I can give is when you're going to that casting, when you're meeting with that casting director, do your research in advance. Watch the last 2 seasons of shows. Research the casting director that you're meeting with, so that you can go in there and really sell yourself and feel confident and know exactly what you're getting yourself into. I think when models go into things blindly, they sometimes overthink it and they psych themselves out a little bit. So I think anytime you get in front of that casting director, which by the way, those casting directors are the key to getting those top jobs, right? There are, just a small number of casting directors that control the bookings for many of the top clients. So being in the good graces of those casting directors is really the key to success when it comes to those top clients. So anytime you're in front of that casting director, be confident, don't overthink it, have fun, and that's gonna resonate with them.
Can you let the people know what you'll be looking for at CMTC?
So when I come to CMTC, I'm always looking for models for all of our markets. Primarily, I'm in Chicago, so I'm looking for a model that can kind of do both, right? A model that has a beautiful smile and a great energy and an approachability about them, but also has something a little bit elevated and interesting. I'm looking for someone that can kind of walk a runway and also appear in a catalog. That's really what works so well for us. And beyond that, I'm just looking for people that are having fun, that are hardworking, and are really excited to get started in this business. I mean, I guess my biggest tip is have fun, right? Like, this industry is supposed to be fun. None of us got into this because we wanted a stressful, scary, anxiety-ridden job. We got into it because we love fashion, we love magazines, we love visual media, and have fun with it. Try not to take it too seriously. Have fun with it, work hard, enjoy all the friendships you're gonna make, and savor every moment.